Okay, so the UI turned out to be a weird one. So a large part of why I was trying to make this UI system, should go back in here, was to make the layering built into it. But as Emmeline was making the graphics system, she built layering into it, into her graphics side. So kind of negated everything that I was doing here. So I have the outlines here, but I couldn't find a good reason to make it useful anymore. Because a lot of the functionality I was trying to create with this UI system was ultimately covered by Emmeline's graphics system. So I was unfortunately unable to find a good way to merge that in a way that didn't just result in, like, I'm probably going to remove all these classes because honestly they're unnecessary. They add nothing to the project. They just add more things that I have to explain, document, and teach everyone how to use that joins the project. So I'm probably going to remove it. Or, well, they're not even finished, but they do exist. But the button manager does work quite nicely. So, as I mentioned before, and you've seen, here he is right here, the button manager. So this is very similar to what I did last quarter. So he's got his register, deregister, initialize, but then these buttons are, I think, kind of like, I'm kind of happy that we got to build our own engine for this. These functions are actually called by, just scroll on down, the button manager actually owns this little guy, the mouse left button tracker. It is just a mouse input component I made, and so whenever he gets called, you just pass it on to the manager. So this way I can completely rewrite the input system, and everything here will just work just fine, as long as I don't change the components. Which I love that I could do that with this engine. So we go back to the button manager. So these three things get called anytime that the mouse left click is called. And it goes through all the buttons that have been registered and checks if the mouse position is within that button's range. Which you go down to the button. Boop. You still gotta finish commenting this guy. Yeah, anytime something happens to him, he just creates his little boundaries. Min X, max X, min Y, and max Y. Very similar to what I did last quarter. And then I have text in here, but again, Emmeline's system covers everything I have here, so largely unnecessary, this whole part of the code base. Yeah, yeah. So, we can watch this working. Got our fancy little balls bouncing around using their updates, the alarms all over the particle system. Oh, I guess I could show you real quick. If I press 2, burp, burp, you cycle through all the little different test scenes. But then this little square right here is a button. So if I click it, burp, now I'm back on scene 2. So I click 1 to get back to scene 1, click the button, now on scene 2. And then, just to prove that I am indeed clicking. I don't know if you hear the clicks, but I'm clicking all over the screen here. And the button is not being triggered. It's only when you get inside his range, burp, that he goes to the next scene. So I have the button feature working just fine. Just the whole layering system and Emmeline's in here in the graphics objects. No, sorry. Sprite. Yeah, sprite string. So huge chunks of what I was going to do are already covered in here. In here in Emmeline's system. Like, she already has layering and everything. Like, if you go to sprite string, oh, sorry. Bluebird sprite. Yeah, old name. But, yeah, she's got the layers and everything. We can set the layer through here. And I believe she talked to you in one of the lectures about how she did that. If we go back to the engine settings. Where is it? Boop, boop. Layer settings. Boop. Yep, user can define layers all they want when they're interacting with that. So to make metal button, I went to scene test. Oh yeah, first I made a button object. Button. The scene swapper button. All he does on his mouse clicked event, he just calls scene manager to your scene to swap to. which in this case, I'm telling the scene to swap to as scene 2, and then I set the position of the button to 100, 400. I can actually move him if you want. Boop. Oh, and he has a start drawing, just like any other graphics object. Or, well, literally, where is he? There you go. Oh, there. Oh, yeah, there he is. I did point over. Oh, I put him. Sorry. If I actually put him on the screen, that would help. Yep. See, he's closer to our origins in the bottom left, so the 100, 100 is why he's in this corner here. And then also you can see Emmeline's sprite string working just fine down there. The hello world. So, yeah. We have all the features we need for strings and buttons, but the UI system in the state that I proposed is very unnecessary and kind of cluttering the engine, so I'm probably going to remove it.